Good morning, everybody. A warm welcome to one and all present here. I'm sure you're all excited as we are and eagerly waiting for the event to start. We are delighted to have over 220 Dhwani partners in this event from Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh.
It's really a pleasure to see all our partners from 3 southern states here. It's an amazing journey from 2017 to today, which is 7 years.
I believe you people have to understand that whether you are a raw diamond or a polished diamond, I don't know. But you can journey, all of you can journey through this by adding value to yourself and more importantly to what you do well. So I do believe when I saw all the work that has happened, certainly across NGOs and especially the small and rural NGOs, A for ability and agility. Andre ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಏನು ಎಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇದೆಯೋ, ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ ಇದೆಯೋ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಎಜಿಲಿಟಿ ಅಂದರೆ ನೀವು ಸಣ್ಣ NGOs ದೊಡ್ಡ ಕಂಪನಿಗೆ ಈ ಥರ ಎಜಿಲಿಟಿ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. பெரிய ಕಂಪನಿயில் வந்து because of all the good things they do in terms of governance, organization structure, company எவ்வளோ பெருசாகணுமோ அவ்வளோவே ஸ்லோ ஆகும். Of course, you should be open when a company, what does a company do well? It has processes, it is able to assess its own work. Accreditation is like quality, you know. It's not just accreditation saying I got a BSc degree or a BTech degree, that's not enough. The world is changing and continuously changing yourself.
So scale is very important because whenever we work with the government agencies or with the say with the donor agencies, so if you work in one village and if you work in 100 villages, that matters a lot. We need to have very good systems and processes around the people level outcome and the system level outcome. People level outcome means what is the changes at the individual household level, what are the changes at the village level. And system level outcome means like the changing the mindset of the people who are at the government functionaries or the funding agencies. Concepts are there, but there is problems from concept to commissioning. So if the CSOs can bridge that gap, like if you see the many flagship programs like GPDP or BPRT or the NRLM, all these programs are very good. But I think the commissioning at the grassroots level, lots of scope of improvement are there.
What does multi-sectoral partnerships mean? So it is not just a partnership with government, but the partnership with other CSOs, partnership with the funders, and partnership with the community. So these various facets, Saroj brought out very nicely. So all of our panelists have very, very different experiences, and that is the strength of this panel. They all bring very different perspectives, different collaborative efforts, and all that. So first of all, I want to request all of you, to share your personal collaborative efforts with the government. So your organizations, how did they first collaborate with the government?
For me personally, if you are talking about scale, if you are talking about some trust, it's always government. I've been associated with the government closely during my APD days, last I would say 25 years. Initially, it takes a lot of time and energy for us to adjust to their way of working. I think if you have a larger picture, if you have a larger understanding, so we will try and adopt ourselves.
In the process of development, in the journey of development, there are 4 key players, that is government, community, civil society organizations, and the corporates. And but government and the community are the 2 permanent institutions in the process of development, and other 2 can be playing the role of facilitators, or we can aspire to be a catalyst. Even without this, development would happen.
So you have to bring in the right kinds of technologies into the classroom. Throwing in smart boards in a classroom is not an answer. But giving children access to a smartphone with high quality content probably is an answer. And last but not the least, which is very, very important and very insightful, is it has to be administratively doable. So you may have the best techniques and approaches, but if in the government system, if it's not administratively doable, then it will collapse.
So that scale has to be built in our entire thinking process. This is number one. And second is probably you can start from 10 villages. That's not an issue. But if we work in 10 villages very intensively and very good work, where the community ownership is there, and then this work can go to 1,000 villages. That will be our biggest achievement. Rather than, it should not be very CSO-centric actually, but it should be a co-creation of the entire initiative.
our hope for the project, nurturing aspirations and resilience for the sport water into all of us.
ನಾವೀಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಲುಮ್ನೈ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋಣ. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ದಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಮೇಜರ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಫೋಕಸ್. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ನೈಸ್ ಸೇ, ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಪವರ್, ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಫನ್, ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಕಂಫರ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಅಲುಮ್ನೈ ಇಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಅಂದರೆ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಬರೋದು ಸಾಮರ್ಥ್ಯ, ಜೊತೆಗಿರೋದು ಸಂತೋಷ, ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಡೆಯೋದು ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಅಬೌಟ್, ದ ವೇ ಐ ಸಿ ಅಲುಮ್ನೈ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಅಬೌಟ್.
It's wonderful to be here, and congratulations on the launch of the Alumni Network, and really looking forward to Alumni Network, like Gopi said, becoming much, much bigger than a platform that Dhwani is.
The simple thought was, what is important to India? And one was building a career, outside of India, and that just didn't work after, almost 2 decades.
One thing what we must keep in mind. So first of all, when people come to a management institution, networking is the most important thing that they do, because it's bad on us, but they quickly forget what we teach them, if at all they learn anything. So I think that at the core of alumni philosophy is the fact that how can we create a network among our students, our alumni who have already completed the program, whose needs are satisfied by that network. Right? So it's almost like a network which is governed by them,
for them and managed by and satisfy their needs. So I think one very important thing that all of us need to keep in mind is that what are the natural needs of this alumni group?
Current, the session is going to be the release of the status reports of our 6 federation partners. We are very proud to be working in the Voice program, one of One key initiatives, working with federations and networks in building our sector's voice. We request the panelists to hand over these to our federation leaders today.
ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நம்ம பண்ண போகிறது வந்துட்டு கிராஜுவேஷன் செரிமனி. கிட்டத்தட்ட 20 ஆர்கனைசேஷன்ஸ் இன்னைக்கு நிரந்தர சகாய் முடிச்சுட்டு கிராஜுவேட் ஆகிறாங்க. அவங்களுக்கான அவார்ட்ஸ் அண்ட் சர்டிஃபிகேஷன்ஸ் நம்ம இன்னைக்கு கொடுக்க போகிறோம்.
You are so many things, and we have to make the world understand what we are. How many of you got a pen and a book from this meeting? But why did you need it? Don't tell me you didn't have a book or a pen. We talk of environment. Or what sir, naven ಮಾಡಿ ತಗೊಂಬಿಟ್ಟಿವಿ ಬೇಡ ಹೇಳೋ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ನಮಗಿದೆ. We have to be role models if you want to be in this sector. People should look up to us as much as the state should look up to us. Every small thing matters. How many times you change your refill versus how many times you change your pen. There's so many small things like this. As sector, if we are the conscience keepers of society, that is conscience keeping. And we must not hesitate to call it out. We should never hesitate to call it out. So my belief is, whether we like it or not, we have chosen this. Nobody compelled into us into this. We have chosen to be role models, but small can be efficient, can be beautiful, we can do a lot. Let us not lose sight of what we are capable of. We all have to bring the DNA of all these 3 sectors together, create a 4th sector where stakeholding is more important than shareholding. Benefit optimization is more important than profit maximization. We have to redefine all this. We need a new generation of intellectual NGOs. We need a generation of tech-enabled NGOs. We need a new generation of NGOs with the courage to live their convictions. We need real role models to shape society and its thinking. So we need out-of-the-box thinking all the time, not just once in a while. And I believe our sector is the only sector that can kickstart it. I'm not saying the only ones who can deliver it. I've also learned. We need to kickstart it, because any change that has to happen has to begin with very courageous people.
We often hear the narrative in news and other places that foreign philanthropy has got cut due to FCRA, and that's going to be a very big challenge for Indian non-profits. But what is the data telling you? Yes, India is becoming a richer country. The top 10%, the top 5%, the top 1% have a lot of money in this country. And therefore, we are seeing that with increasing wealth generation, more and more people are learning to give to the Indian philanthropy ecosystem. Now, one more reason why you see so much funding coming from local sources is because we're also seeing a stable rise in retail philanthropy. And if you see in 2010 to 15, we had a major financial crisis in the Western world, but India actually emerged from it rather quickly. And we saw that a lot of wealthy people got created in India who set up their own foundations. Also in this period, we see another interesting phenomenon, that we see a lot of domestic funders actually collaborating and creating platforms, collaborating and creating infrastructure. So what is infrastructure in philanthropy? It's like you build a road to reach a village, or you build a school, or you build a hospital. Similarly, in the philanthropy landscape, when you create networks, when you create opportunities for people to learn from each other, that's what we refer to as infrastructure.
What we realized was that there is an issue, and that was, as that chart so nicely showed, and it did not include few things, and I will add to that, one of which was brought out, that the profile of donor was changing. How have you seen the change in last 10-15 years, which our 200 plus NGO partners will need to have some understanding of?
The reason you have to focus on everything is that there are individual forces shaping each of these buckets that were put up earlier. And these individual forces are not entirely predictable at moments in time. As we know, for instance, the first thing that a CSR person or an FCRA person or someone else is doing other than your extremely local giver is looking for your website. If the website doesn't exist, you don't exist.
Coming back to your question in terms of what we see, or at least what I'm witnessing at the board level, is that we work in a hybrid model, at least in Biocom. So we have a direct implementation that is through our own team, but at the same time we know that we would not be able to do justice in different areas of Karnataka which are remote, or say Hyderabad. So that is where we believe that we need to have very strategic partnerships. And, so that is a realization that we want an NGO partner who's convinced about what they're doing. That is very important. That they don't that they believe in what they're doing. That is their strength. That they should be locally very well entrenched. There should be some convergence with the government. And also most importantly, like Sir said, okay, yes, it's important to have a website. What are you sharing? Do you have well-written annual reports? Can we look at what is the data that you all have?
The last 10 to 15 years, and they value education. So they do believe that education is important. So there is a lot of money being spent on that. And then some level of it could be patriotism, social upliftment, or giving back to society, which accounts for probably 20%. And I am talking totally separate from their CSR spending, just personal philanthropy. So this is what they're looking at, but still health education, which I'm sure that most people are from, and women's empowerment are still the major drivers. So this is what they are looking for.
Second thing, however, I would say is that actually retail giving is something which is the easiest because we know other people who can give. The problem with retail giving or retail fundraising, as I'll put it, giving is not the problem, fundraising is the problem, right? So people are willing to give, but we are not willing to ask. I think the biggest problem with retail fundraising is our mindset, which prevents us from asking. We are scared, we're not sure, we think we will burn relationships by asking our friends for money.
So I had to adapt myself with the need of the organization. When you ask me how do I decide, I go by the need, I go where the challenge is, not where the opportunity is. Like there's a city of Jalna, it's a district, Jalna, in Maharashtra. I read in the newspapers in 2013, there's a city with 4 lakh people and they receive water once a month. Where is the transparency in the commercial sector? There's no transparency. In fact, here at least I'm able to ask them questions. There I'm not able to ask questions now. So let us not be under the complex that we are not able to gain trust. So what I decided is to let the NGOs win my trust. Let them give me the deadline of how long should we work together and when should we exit. money is just one part of the life. It is not the only part. So you can do so many things without money, which are free. Give them appreciation, give them visibility, or if nothing, give them the credit of what they have done. I'll give you another example. When I move around, when the founders say, this is something I have done, this is something I have done, and when there is something which he has not done or she has not done, and the staff has done, he says, this is something we have done.
It's sort of a vicious circle in the social sector. What comes first, right? Is the money comes first? Is the people comes first? Is the program comes first, right? So it's always difficult to answer what is first, what is second.
The profession has grown. In fact, in India, we developed the profession based on Western culture, Western values, Western systems of approaching social problems and so on. Only now we are looking at our learning from our own experiences. So that is one major shift that is happening in the profession.
Each organization would strongly believe that we are all a great place to work, and what makes it great? You know, to me it's the people which makes it great. So a great place to work in simple words is when employees are valued, they are respected, they have the freedom to speak up and share.
Consciously made a decision, or the approach took from the beginning was that, okay, village development, integrated village development approach, in which those days where you will have various interventions, whether it's in the area of health, education, livelihoods, community organization, different things.
So I want to thank all of you for coming today from various places and making it very special for all of us here.